the first game is always it's always the toughest one, especially when you haven't played anybody. Had 2 guys out because of COVID protocol, which I want to make that clear because sometimes when guys don't play, people kind of rush to judgment about what's going on. They're not hurt and they didn't do anything dumb. They just happened to fall under the COVID protocol, and we'll leave it at that. But looking forward to hopefully having them back sometime here in the near future. But I thought our guys, especially the first half, based off the fact that we have not gone up and down at all, 5-on-5, basically for at least a month and a half. Just because of the pauses, because of the number of bodies that we have. We've been able to do some 4-on-4, 3-on-3, but that definitely doesn't simulate what you're going to do 5-on-5 in a real game. And so I was really actually surprised how well we kind of came out and started the game. Regardless of who the opponent was. I mean, I think that, we kind of needed that. Marcus Williams needed that. Jeremiah Oden, those freshmen, I mean, regardless of who you're playing, that first game out is always got the jitters, and you put the uniform on, you got people in the stands. I mean, there's just a lot of things that can make things go wrong. But I thought that, Maldo, did a really good job of just kind of controlling the pace, controlling the tempo. Got him in the post some, which you'll see him in there more. And then Thompson is, who I want Thompson to be within what we do offensively. He just causes a lot of problems. And, what you don't see in the stat sheet is when he starts making some of those shots is now his man gets pulled up. They don't know whether to switch, not to switch. And then that's when you see Marcus Williams, Xavier Dussel, Maldo, all those guys getting to the rim downhill. And you had a guy like, Quan, when he comes back with his ability to drive it, when you have a 5-man like that can bring their defender out, it just makes the game a lot easier. And so I thought all in all, based off of kind of what we've done, which has been very, very little from an up and down standpoint, you saw in the second half our conditioning kind of showed itself, which I knew it would. And it's just one of those things where they just got to continue to grow, and we got to use the games in order to get in shape and get ourselves better. Davis.
Jeff, you mentioned Marcus. I know you've been recruiting him for a long time, but for him to come out and have that kind of performance in his debut, did that surprise you, just how well he played?
No, it really didn't, from the fact that, especially in the way that those guys were going to play and kind of get up and down and play pretty fast. He's a guy that has played against high-level guys, in his entire life, and playing at the highest level of high school basketball in Texas. I mean, he's playing against high-level Division I guys, especially when you make it as far as he did in the state tournament. I mean, they were the number 1 seed going to Austin, and about to win that deal if COVID doesn't hit. And so he's a guy that he's not scared of the moment, and you could just see in glimpses. I mean, even though he went and got 20 points. I mean, his ability to see the floor. He just got unbelievable vision, and he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be a really, really good player.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Who we got? Robert or Rob?
Either one works.
All right.
One works. How big is it for Hunter, 6'10"? You're big. Be out there to step out of the high post and make those 3-pointers for you guys.
Well, like I said, it makes the game a lot easier for everybody else. Now, the better teams, I mean, they're gonna have a plan. We'll be ready for that when teams want to start switching and doing different things. But I thought we did, in the first half. I mean, you saw where, we got to multiple actions. I mean, it wasn't just getting to one slip, and we got to 2 or 3, and we had some really good offensive possessions there. To where, because teams, with our ability to shoot it, and especially with Thompson on the floor, I mean, we're going to see a lot of teams that are going to try to switch, but we'll be ready for that. And and Thompson too, which at times, he's going to need to get down low. But I thought Maldo did a good job down there. Owen, his first game of Division I basketball. The game like that, for a big guy like that, it's kind of hard. I mean, just trying to post up, really small guys, and kind of the way things are. I mean, it's a tough game for him to kind of get his feet wet. But I think, against a team like Texas Southern, who's going to play more traditional, be a lot bigger, you're going to see him, have a lot more of an impact on the game. Tracy.
Yeah, but given the newness of so many people, including the coaching staff and the players, and the familiarity, you guys, need to know. Did that have a lot to do with how you drew up your schedule, preseason schedule, to be ready for the conference play?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that we were smart enough to, have it together, but, when the NCAA decided to shrink the number of games down, we had to, we had a lot of planning to do. And luckily, Chris Spencer, who kind of puts on the MTU, kind of coordinated this, did a really good job of making sure that Mississippi Valley State got here. And then a team like Texas Southern, which is hard. I mean, especially when a lot of these other teams, they want to get home games, and for us to be able to get those games at home, especially with a younger team. I mean, not to have to go on the road with COVID, with the testing, to have those guys kind of get their feet wet, on our home court. It definitely is going to help us moving forward. And as I said, we're treating this more like, the NFL, actually preseason, which the NFL, I mean, the first 4 or 5 games, I mean, you have no idea who can play and who can't for the most part. We're going to have to figure out, kind of who's who, what's what lineups work when we get Quan and Kenny back. Then we got to figure out and adjust accordingly, and that's what this year's been. I mean, you got to adjust. You can't have a huge plan and be really organized. You just got to be ready to adjust, and I thought we did a good job of that.
Thank you.
Who's next? Cody?
Jeff, I mean, this was your first game at Wyoming, your first game on the sideline. What did it feel like? What were your emotions like?
Well, the first game, I mean, of the season, regardless, and you probably could ask Coach K, you could probably ask Boeheim. I mean, you always have some nerves, and and you don't know. I mean, it wasn't like we had a scrimmage or an exhibition to kind of get, kind of figure out who's who and what's what, and we just kind of out there. It's almost like a glorified pickup game in a lot of ways. I mean, second half kind of looked like that. I thought the first half we actually looked pretty good, but the second half kind of got a little raggedy. But I thought overall, the guys, I said I wasn't probably more worried about me. I was worried about some of those guys, and I thought, the younger guys, for the most part, came out and did a really good job of not showing the nerves that they probably had, and hopefully they can kind of get that out and then, get ready to go as we make our way onto the season. Jacob.
I meant to ask you this on Wednesday, but I forgot. What's it like for you to get the couple of the guys that you recruited at UNC to come to Wyoming and buy into this program and kind of make that switch?
I think the biggest thing was just I knew that they fit what we want to do. And that goes, for Marcus, X, and then Graham was a guy that, we had recruited really hard as well, and we're hoping to get. And so, for them to, to believe in us, and knowing our system. I mean, that's the thing when you recruit guys and you can show them the players and the guards that have played before us in our system. I mean, it's a pretty easy decision to make, hopefully most of the time. And so those guys knew what to expect, and I'm just thankful that they decided to follow us here. And I think I said I'm really excited about that freshman class. I mean, when you got Marcus Williams, Xavier Dussel, Jeremiah Odin, and then you add Graham Ike to the mix, who gives you a real post presence inside. And so really looking forward to just seeing those guys grow. And they got a lot of growing to do. I mean, it's we're far, far away from being any good, but at least we're taking steps in the right direction. Davis.
Jeff, I know you guys will obviously play some cover competition down the road, but just what's your biggest takeaway from this opener?
I thought overall, I just thought that, we did a good job for the most part of executing the game plan. Those freshmen didn't have a lot of just freshman breakdowns and mistakes. I thought that, the few things that we were trying to tell them that we wanted to do, to limit Mississippi Valley State and allow them to kind of do some of the things they didn't want to do. I thought, especially the younger guys did a good job. I knew what I was going to get from Aldo. I knew what I was going to get from Thompson. But I thought those guys did a really good job of executing the game plan. But the beauty of right now is in college basketball is you got to have a quick turnaround, and you got to be able to start digesting some things on Texas Southern and be ready to go on Monday against a very, very talented Texas Southern team. What we got, Cody?
Jeff, do we have any clue at all if Marble or Kenny will be back for Texas Southern?
COVID protocol, that's all I'm leaving it at. But based off of, probably what you saw on the bench, who was there, who was not, your guess is as good as mine. I'll go a little Bill Belichick on you.